So I don't know about you guys, but it really feels like I'm playing the Wrath of the Lich King beta still whenever I log into the game. It's painfully obvious that Wrath of the Lich King has shipped in early access. There's so many bugs in the game, countless little nitty-gritty class bugs, but also some pretty huge ones, which quite frankly are pretty laughable. Today I'm going to talk about many of the bugs that I've personally encountered in the game and some that I've obviously researched. Let me know what else you guys have come across in the comment section. And it is important to note that they could actually be fixed by the time I release this video. Now, the first big one is a number of raid bosses are simply just not working as intended. A very obvious one that many people have encountered is Saffron very simply doesn't fly into the air. And the animations are sketch AF. He just sits on the ground during the flight phase. It looks pretty stupid. And for some reason, you carry on automatically auto-attacking the boss even when you're like out of range. And when you're behind a frost tomb to protect yourself from frost breath, you get instantly killed, even though you're behind a frost tomb. KT is also bugged. Frost tomb mechanics are not supposed to affect the tank, but they are. So a lot of people are having issues with KT because they now have to rely on the RNG that this bug doesn't happen. I was also in Utgard Pinnacle last night farming that trinket that still hasn't dropped for me after 10 times of doing the bloody boss. Anyway, the third boss, Scardy, isn't mechanically bugged or anything, but the flight animations are totally ski with. I managed to grab some good footage for you. You can see the Drake is walking in mid-air as if he's on some kind of solid platform rather than actually flying. And when the Drake dies, it's the same again. It's as if he's dying on a solid platform instead of falling down to a place where you can't see him. And I've seen this in other places in the open world. The flying mobs are simply scripted worse than basic Trinity Core at this point. By the way, just quickly guys, a public service announcement. Liz Truss is a disconnected moron. If that doesn't get you to subscribe to the channel, I don't know what will. Apart from 50% of the people watching the video right now who are indeed American and have absolutely no idea who I'm talking about, I tell you what, Americans, you're totally right to think that every single British person personally either knows the king or queen of the country. Because we actually do, we just keep it a secret. So I can definitely get you a meeting with the old Charlie boy. We've kissed and made up ever since he nuked my flat. I also don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I just really love independence. Like, independence is just such a great thing in this world. Oh, and granola bars. Anyway, Master Looter is also not working on a number of bosses. I did a world tour of all the raids the other night, and many of the bosses just simply put the loot out on group loot, even when Master Loot is on, which, as you can probably imagine, is an absolute recipe for disaster when it comes to doing pugs. Achievements are still not reporting to guilds when they should be. You may be thinking, well, actually they are, but that's only because some people have a certain achievement that does it for them, but yeah, it's actually just not working in the game. I also discovered an extremely irritating bug during that raid on my Death Knight. Death and Decay quite literally just stopped working. The same macro I've been using since pre-patch launch just stopped working. So it's not a macro issue. I have heard of a lot of people having issues with certain macros. It's literally not working when you go to the spellbook and click it. You just don't even see the green circle and you get this little error message saying that you're out of range. It seems like Death and Decay is trying to cast extremely far away and it's just like that's all it's going to do. And only a relog fixes this issue. And this only happens in Naxxramas for some reason. The Shadow Vault flight path is also totally unusable for me personally. I've heard of other people also having this issue. I never actually physically seen the little green mark above the flight path to signify that I can discover the flight path. It's never appeared and I don't see it on any of the flight paths. This is a bug that actually did happen in the original Wrath of the Lich King 2, which is kind of hilarious. Never bugged on private servers though. Any private servers I've played anyway. Strange that. Big one most people know about is the Battle for Undercity event. Blizzard have actually told people to just not do the quest rather than finding an actual innovative way to fix the bug. I mean, it's 2020. Pretty sure they could do it if they wanted to. They do loads of stuff like this on retail. Also, if you kill Mal'Ganis too fast, he just stands around doing nothing, and you don't get the loot from the chest at the end of the dungeon. Really fun one that, especially on Heroic when you can only do it once a day. Wintergrasp has also had a number of issues since launch. Most are fixed now, but let's talk about them anyway. First of all, obviously it was given way too much honour, like probably double the honour than it should have been. And for some reason you can queue for it multiple times within that 30-minute time window. That's fixed now. Also, why on earth is there no portal to Wintergrasp? Is this just me? Or have they actually forgotten to put the portal to get down to Wintergrasp? Because a very irritating thing is my flight paths are also totally bugged to get to Wintergrasp. So for me, getting to Wintergrasp is very entertaining. People on the Aragal server, and apparently another server as well, has had issues like this. Wintergrasp, well, the problem is it's not working. Okay, people are not getting credit for actually getting a win in Wintergrasp. So people on the Aragal server have only seen the buff 3 times since launch, even though they've won it every single time. For some reason, trolls have a default faster cast time on their Mindflay, because a 15% time reduction of snares, which is their racial, is actually affecting Mindflay. Okay, so yeah, Troll Priests are having a great time in a minute, absolutely pumping because of this, but obviously this is a bug, and it was a bug actually on the beta, and it still hasn't been fixed. People have also been getting randomly dismounted in the Storm Peaks. This happened to me the other day. I thought it was just because I went AFK and a flying mob killed me or something, but no, this is an actual bug and it is happening to people. The Wild Growth spell isn't working correctly for druids. It prioritises range, which means it's prioritising pets if the pets are closer over actual players. So druids are finding that they're accidentally healing, well, not really accidentally, it's not really in their control, is it? But they're healing mage pets when they are actually physically targeting the mage or other players instead. Apparently /use number macros are working, so for instance, use / whatever number it is to use your hyperspeed enchant on your gloves. Totally not working, even though it did obviously work in TBC. Right-clicking your unit frame to enable or disable PvP doesn't work. There's another thing that hasn't worked since launch. You actually have to use a command in-game for it to work. There's also this weird bug where when warlocks dismount, their pets drop to 50% health. And there's a great deal of little nitty-gritty class bugs like this. You can go into the forums and read them all. There's pages and pages of bugs like this. And it begs the question, how could a multi-million-dollar company release a game they've already developed and released years and years ago with so many bugs? More bugs than a community-developed private server, and probably more bugs than the original Wrath of the Lich King Classic. If Wrath of the Lich King Classic was a totally brand new MMO like New World, it would get totally memed on and everyone would just quit the game. It really is fortunate that Blizzard have such a big and massively addicted fan base that will continue to play a buggy, unfinished, early released game. If you think about it, they really don't need to spend time and resources making new assets and content for the game. They can literally spend all of their time polishing the game and making it as bug-free as possible. So then it becomes painfully obvious that Blizzard aren't spending anywhere near enough time, development time anyway, on the project. Cold hard truth is, this is an attitude that many developers have now. Developing games costs money, normally more money than it's worth, and this is why big game developers, they barely make games anymore. They find ways to monetize the current games they already have. It's why there will never be a World of Warcraft 2. A project like that would cost so much money to make. And why would they work on something like that when World of Warcraft is already currently making them loads of bank? Original Guild Wars got a remake because Original Guild Wars wasn't a huge commercial success. World of Warcraft is. When you consider it against other MMOs anyway, it's still a great commercial success. The right thing for Blizzard to do would be to actually create jobs within the company, i.e. hire actual developers to work on classic World of Warcraft to keep it polished. This will make people in the company happy. I don't know why I keep saying happy there, you know what, we're pushing through, happy, and it makes the consumer happy, because obviously they're playing a good game that they can actually stick up for and almost be proud that they play it because it's made so well and by such a great company. In the long run, this will make a company more revenue, because they will build up a reputation that the consumer can trust, and therefore the consumer will throw money at them because they know they're going to get their money's worth. Making good products that stand out for their reliability, funny enough, generates revenue for a company. Let me tell you why this will never happen. There's a reason why as the people in charge of companies get older, the companies get worse. And it's because these people just want to milk as much money out of the company as they can before they retire. They no longer have the same ambitious attitude that they did obviously when they were younger. Compare how much a middle-aged CEO of a big gaming company cares about a company's reputation against a young guy in his early 20s trying to build a company from the ground up. And this is why most game companies are going downhill. They all just seem to have a shelf life these days of when they're going to start to become total crap. As soon as one company finds a way to increase their profit margins with less running costs, all the others follow suit and it spreads like a virus. It's like how the second that Apple ditched the headphone jack, most other companies just followed suit. I feel like companies can get away with producing turds and making money from turds because they've already integrated a massive addiction to video games in society. I mean, what are people who like video games going to do if all the video games that newly release are unfinished and unpolished? Go and read a book? Of course they're not. We're just going to have to deal with it because at the end of the day, we're all addicted. If there's no choice but to play a crap game, we're going to play it anyway. I think eventually we'll become so exhausted from complaining that we'll actually just stop, or at least it will lower a little bit. We'll be saying things like this: oh, this game is really good, it only has 50 bugs and 5 good hours of content. Most games have at least over 100 bugs and 3 hours of content for £60. But don't worry guys, it's not all doom and gloom. Let's not try and leave it on a negative note. When videos like this are made, they dramatically increase the publicity of Blizzard's turds. It's like, hey, let's take a picture of Blizzard's turd in the toilet, right, and spread it on Instagram. That's essentially what's happening here. And then obviously Blizzard are actually going to do something to save themselves from utter embarrassment. But to be fair, they probably should have shipped the game in a finished state to not do that. Maybe they were hoping people wouldn't notice these bugs, or they just couldn't be bothered hiring actual game testers. That's probably why they give streamers access to the beta. And I encourage, like every streamer imaginable, to react to this video to increase its publicity, and I encourage other YouTubers to make a video about it. Also, you can even just use the footage that I've used in this video and just talk over it if you want. Let's increase the publicity of these bugs, get it all fixed so we can actually play an actual real finished game, because that would be nice. Anyway, sorry guys, that was a bit of a rant. My name is MetaGoblin. To the next video. Ciao.